By the mid-18th century, at the beginning of the Transit decade, the commercial empires of the European countries stretched across the globe. International travel was possible along the established trade routes to distant destinations in the East and West Indies, Africa and Brazil. Britain controlled much of the eastern seaboard of the North American continent, as well as parts of India, some Caribbean islands, and Sumatra in Indonesia. France counted among her possessions Canada and Louisiana, as well as plantations in India, sugar-producing colonies such as Haiti and St. Lucia, and some islands in the Indian Ocean, while the Dutch organized much of their East India trade from Jakarta and ports at Galle in Sri Lanka and the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. The East Indies, as it was known, comprised the Indian subcontinent and southeastern Asia, including Indonesia and the Philippines, while the West Indies were the Caribbean islands. But voyagers would also face great dangers. Since 1756, much of Europe had been embroiled in the 7 Years' War. The political conditions made the transit expeditions perilous enterprises. As scientists from France, Britain, Sweden, Germany, Russia, and elsewhere were planning their international cooperation, their armies were fighting bloody battles against each other in the forests of Saxony, on the coast of the Baltic Sea, in the wilderness of the Ohio Valley, and in India. Rival fleets crisscrossed the oceans from Guadeloupe to Mauritius, engaging in attacks as far away as Pondicherry and Manila, but also closer to home in the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. The war had its origins in the old European conflicts between the Hohenzollerns in Prussia and the Habsburgs in Austria, and in the ongoing imperial contest between Britain and the House of Bourbon, which ruled France and Spain. Britain and Prussia were fighting against France, who was allied with Russia, Austria, and Sweden. Not only political power was at stake, but also trading and commercial ventures, possession of the North American colonies, of India, the slave trade in West Africa, and the valuable sugar-producing islands of the West Indies. As Europeans expanded their world, so did their warfare. It was the first global war, tearing apart Europe and its colonial outposts across the world. It was amid these turbulent times that the astronomers would have to travel on their ambitious quest. On 30th April 1760, 72-year-old Joseph-Nicolas Delisle, the official astronomer to the French Navy, walked to a meeting of the Académie des Sciences in Paris. Every Wednesday, academicians who studied in the fields of mathematics and astronomy assembled there to discuss experiments, projects, and current research. Delisle only had a short distance to travel. The Académie's rooms were in the Louvre, about a mile across the Seine from his small observatory at the Hôtel de Cluny, the administrative center of the Royal Navy. The streets were narrow, but as Benjamin Franklin remarked a few years later, fit to walk and kept clean by daily sweeping. They were lined with large houses and busy with people on foot and in coaches. Men and women hawked their wares from stalls, everything from brooms to oysters and from eggs to cheese and fruit. Cobblers, knife-grinders, and peddlers shouted at the passers-by, offering their services. People of all sorts and condition mingled here, one traveler noted in surprise, from pickpockets to a prince of blood. It was, Franklin said, a prodigious mixture of magnificence and negligence. Others were harsher and called it the ugliest, beastly town in the universe. Delisle crossed the river by the Pont Neuf, a sturdy stone bridge famed as the haunt of performers, quacks, and tooth-pullers. The bridge was to the city, one Parisian said, what the heart was to the body, the center of movement and circulation. Turning left, Delisle faced the imposing facade of the Louvre at the next corner. France at that time was ruled by Louis XV, a king who had succeeded to the throne in 1715 at the age of 5. He adored astronomy, and regularly attended scientific demonstrations in Versailles, even allowing himself to become electrically charged. His great-grandfather, Louis XIV, had founded the Académie des Sciences in Paris in the previous century to promote science and its practical uses, and the glory of his reign. Over the past century, academicians had met there to discuss a wide range of scientific subjects, from the study of insects and comets to practical inventions such as hydraulics to power the fountains in Versailles or pumps to clean harbors. The Académie was the most important scientific institution in the country, and its members were the best scientists. To be elected as a membre de l'Académie was the greatest scientific honor, and the academicians wore their title proudly like a badge of nobility.